Good morning, Steve Weber, the host of the American Gumption morning show, being broadcast on Spirituality Gone Wild. And welcome to Tuesday, August 25, August 25th. Boy, only less than 1 week in August and then September. So summer is winding down. Gorgeous day here in the eastern part of the U.S. where I'm at in Pennsylvania, just north of Philadelphia. And so sun is out, it's blue sky and still nice and warm, still kind of hot and humid. It's my first full summer in Pennsylvania since 1979. And all my other summers were out in California and Montana ever since then. So this is getting used to the humidity, but it's coming to an end. The summer is rapidly winding down. All right, so here we are on Tuesday, August 25th. This is show number 17, and have a guest. Have a very important guest, Nicci Roscoe from England, from London, across the pond, coming to us. So that's coming up at the bottom of the hour, and look forward to sharing the story of Nicci and all the wonderful work that she's doing. She's a healer, and she's been a media person, and she's just a positive, fabulous ball of energy, and she's going to share that with us this morning. So looking forward to visiting with Nicci. And let's see. So my monologue today is going to be on priorities. And I started this last Friday. I talked about updating your plans, and this is more kind of a continuation of that. It's on my mind. It's what I need to do right now. So that's why I wanted to share that. And I've got a life lesson. There's always a life lesson from the Forrest Gump movie that we can tie into no matter what is happening in life. And so today we're going to talk about keep your eye on the ball. That's life lesson number 44 of the 94 life lessons that I created last year for the 25th anniversary of the movie Forrest Gump. And so keep your eye on the ball. So that'll be coming up just shortly. All right. So we will continue the shows all through the week. I don't have specific guests that I can announce for the next couple of days, but I'm working on that. And there's a rumor that Debbie G might join us tomorrow. So that's what my hope and plan is. So we'll see if that comes together. And a little bit of, maybe we'll throw a little pressure on her by publicly telling. And okay, boy, look at this. I've got, I just want to throw this up on the screen real quick. We got from Rosemary all the way from Western Australia. Welcome, Rosemary. Thanks for joining us this morning. It's actually not, it's evening. It's a good evening from Western Australia. So happy to have you here with us. Thank you for joining us. And anybody who has a comment, wants to say hello where they're from, please do that. And we'll see if we can't welcome you to our show. So anyway, one personal update. So what happened was I left Montana back in October, and in January of 2019, my father, he moved from where he was living in a senior facility to my sister's home. And my sister's home she has a nice big house with an apartment attached to it. And so Dad ended up moving out of the assisted care living and in with my sister, just kind of almost in simultaneous to his 90th birthday. And the reason being is that he had been there for 7 years. And while it was certainly it's a senior facility, they take care of the people the way they take care of the people. And ultimately, after talking it over with Dad and the family and my sister, of course, who invited him to stay at her home, where she has like I said, she had an apartment attached to the house. And so it was like a kind of an ideal setup where Dad could have his own place and his own space. And yet it would be, right there on the property and being cared for by family. So as I ended up leaving, that year proceeded, I ended up making the decision to leave Montana and go out and live on the road. And before I really had my plan all together, my sister invited me to come back and at least spend a short time with her. There's the former kids' bedrooms. Well, not kids, but their former bedrooms were available in another part of the house. And so anyway, that's where I've ended up in landing. So we're all one big happy family here for the time being. Anyway, Dad's been here for a year and a half. I've been here for 8 or 9 months now, and grateful to Eileen and Gary for welcoming me and welcoming our father, taking care of him. And really the thing is that, hey, Dad, you could be with a senior facility and that's perfectly fine, or you could be with family and being cared for. And so fortunately, Dad's healthy and been in good shape. Now, the reason why I'm finally sharing this today is that yesterday he's had an ear infection for the last 6 weeks, and it started out. We went to the family physician. I say we, but Eileen and Dad went. I'm just cheerleading on. And so they went to the family physician, a little bit of an ear infection, gave him some drops and blah, blah, blah. And then a week or two later, it's still not healed up. Going to a ear, nose, and throat specialist. And he looks at it, got a little infection. Let's give you something a little stronger for that. Okay, great. Week later, he's back. It's still not healed up. It's a little bit better, but it's still not healed up. And so anyway, this has now been going on for 6 weeks. And so yesterday he went back to the specialist, the ear, nose, and throat specialist, and they put him in the hospital so that they can do an intravenous feed of some stronger medications that will hopefully kill off this infection that's in his ear. So no emergency, but after 6 weeks of playing around with okay, let's try this, let's try this, let's try this, each step thinking that would be the end of it, so here we are. So anyway, this evening I'll go over and have at the dinner hour and visit with my father. I've got some activities. My sister's going earlier in the day. He was admitted last night. Everything's pretty cool. I'll update you in the next few days as that goes along, but everything should be, we hope, okay, and he'll be home in a few days, and that'll be that. So, all right. So anyway, that's the update of the family situation and my situation here. And I'm staying for the time being in Pennsylvania. All righty. So let's see. We have. So let's go ahead and jump into today's life lesson, movie life lesson. I can throw up here on the screen. Here's the screen share, and let's see if I can get this. 44 from the movie Forrest Gump. Keep your eye on the ball. There was a total of 94 scenes that I identified a year ago.
Never, ever take your eye off the ball. Hi, I'm Steve Weber, and today is scene 44 of 94 of the best scenes from the movie Forrest Gump. And today, I'm keeping my eye on the ball. In this case, the ball that I'm keeping my eye on is celebrating the best scenes from the movie Forrest Gump in honor of its 25th anniversary.
Now, the secret to this game is no matter what happens, never, ever take your eye off the ball.
Forrest was told that the secret to playing ping pong was to never, ever take your eye off the ball.
For some reason, ping pong can very natural to me.
See, any idiot can play.
It's also the secret to everything you do. Keep your eye on the ball. No matter what you're doing, stay focused. It's the secret to life. Keep your eye on the ball. Stay focused. Never, ever take your eye off the ball. It takes gumption to stay focused. It takes gumption to keep your eye on the ball. Do you want to be more Gump-like? Stay focused. Never, ever take your eye off the ball. Let's learn to live our lives with gumption.
All righty. So that is life lesson number 44 of the 94 life lessons from the movie. And again, I did that last year in honor of the 25th anniversary. So those were all recorded and released from March through early July. On July 6th was the 25th anniversary. And so that was the number one scene, which I have not played yet, but I'll be sharing that, I'm sure, somewhere along the line in this American Gumption morning show extravaganza. All righty. So the reason why I thought that was a good life lesson for today is because that's really where I find myself today. I'm This is week number 4 of the American Gumption morning show. And in many ways, I was fully ready to jump into this opportunity. It only had appeared about 3 weeks before I started, a little less than 4 weeks from the day I first met Debbie G, and then less than 3 weeks from when I thought, the possibility of doing it to starting it. So it came up very quick, but in many ways I had been preparing for it for several years. And in some ways, like certainly for the last few months, knowing how I was going to start broadcasting. But I had the vision of the American Gumption project, which I was going to, and still want to go out, live and work from the road for the next several years, and meet people and interview them in person, video kind of storytelling. And really the reason for that was the antidote to what's going on in our world today, our culture, where the news media and our political leaders are, we'll just say, less than enthusiastic and optimistic, and there's no real depth or substance to what they say. It's just a lot of noise, people yelling at each other and not being very polite, and not necessarily agreeing and getting things done. So I came to the realization that the positive stories and the good feeling things that all of us really want to live for, and at least I wanted to fill my life with those kinds of things. And I thought, there's a lot of other people, I'm sure, that would feel the same way. They want to hear positive stories. They want to hear, what ordinary people are doing that are extraordinary and are making a difference in the world. And so anyway, I thought, okay, we're gonna go out there and do that. So anyway, now here I am back in Pennsylvania, and then had a little false start, not a false start, but had a little dry run, a practice run in March when I lived in an RV for 2 weeks. And then that was exactly when COVID really blew up and changed everything. But I also realized that, I didn't have the technology in place to record everything and then to put it up on the website and get it out there into the world. And so I was working on those things the last few months. And then I said, I've got to get this out to the world and start this. And I thought, I'm going to just start virtually. That was really my intention. I thought, okay, why not? We can, everybody's gone to a virtual world. We can start the American Gumption Project for now in a virtual fashion. And so, so that was what I was thinking I'm going to do. And lo and behold, I finally say, I've got to launch this thing. And so I picked July 7th. And I go ahead and do that. And then that was the day that I meet Debbie G. And then we start the conversation. And within 3 or 4 days, it's like, well, maybe I should do a morning show. And here we are. So since then, though, since August 3rd, when I did my first show, which was, I guess, 3 weeks from yesterday, but this is the 4th week now that we're into it, lots has happened. And it's safe to say that everything has changed. You have a plan, before it starts, and then suddenly it starts and things happen. It starts evolving. And so now you're a few weeks into it. And last week, the 3rd week into it, it was sort of like kind of like the dam burst, and like the opportunities, the feathers, the opportunities, from doing this just for a few weeks started to show up, and the conversations I was having with either new people or in many cases people that I've known for a long time, suddenly they were very different conversations, and what were somewhat theoretical and maybe could do this suddenly became a lot more specific, like we could do this. And so those opportunities started coming in. So last Friday, I knew I was beginning to get, I don't want to use the word overwhelmed, but I was beginning to have more opportunities, more feathers show up than I could reach down and pick up, and these are very attractive looking feathers. These are very, good opportunities. And so it's like, okay, how do you bring them all in? And so I ended up talking about the update your plan last Friday, and talked about some of these, the need for how do you bring those things in, and then how do you look at what was there before and get rid of some of the things that no longer are relevant because, you're working in theory up until 3 weeks ago, like this is what is going to happen. And then suddenly something's happening. And so you want to update your plan. So that was last Friday's monologue. And so this one is keeping your eye on the ball and really prioritizing things. And so, you begin to throw in all of the new opportunities, and then you have to prioritize them because you can't do them all simultaneously. You can't, you just can't execute on everything being a one-person show. And so it's obvious that you need to prioritize things. So that's kind of feeling like where I'm at. And of course, there's opportunities that show up that have an urgency to them, and they're good things. So I'm doing a virtual keynote this afternoon, my first time that I've done a virtual keynote. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just, there's no reason why I can't do this and offer this as a real service to real organizations who will need this kind of message. And so I've updated my keynote that I had been doing the last year or so before this all hit. And I was talking about change made easy, and I've branded it into the COVID change opportunity. The COVID change opportunity. It's, this is an opportunity that we find ourselves in where we're learning to communicate in a different way. We're forced into taking action. We didn't ask for COVID, but here it was. And so it's like a new reality. And I know our guest is going to talk about, she specifically coaches people on how to deal with this. So people who are really in more of a crisis mode. Now, I never felt like I was in that crisis mode because I had already, made a big change last year, left Montana, was planning to do this thing, had a nice practice run in March for going out there and living, and saw that, oh my gosh, there's some foundational things technology-wise that I have to have in place if I'm going to be able to live and work from the road and then communicate outward with it. So those are all happening. The show starts, and then boom, all these new opportunities come flooding in. And so much so that, I'm a little bit at the point where it's like, oh my gosh, what do you do? And so the idea of keeping your eye on the ball. And, so what was the ball? What is the ball? In this case, the ball is American Gumption. And the idea that I'm going to be out there interviewing people, really, that's what I want to do. I want to interview people. I want to talk to people. And when the show ends, I'm talking to people to line up guests for other, for a next segment, and doing research on them and doing that. And then in the meantime, there's that technology, piece of how do you get that. And I'm beginning to see, people are showing up that are being able to help me in certain ways with certain things. And, so it's like, it's kind of all happening. So there's a lot going on, and it's exciting. I'm grateful. I think it's great. So anyway, that's really the idea of keeping your reprioritizing and deciding what's the most important thing that you want to do in your life. And so we all have those moments. And then of course, Dad ends up going to the hospital for a few days. And so now I've made the commitment to go over there in the evening during the dinner hour. My sister's going over earlier in the day, and we'll spend a good portion of the day. And then I'll head over there a little bit later on. And so, this is the way life works, right? A lot of things happening, and you adjust and you do the best you can. And so I've invited Debbie G to come on because I know Debbie has been doing the same thing in her life. And I thought this could be a good conversation on how do you, when things start going really, really fast, how do you keep up with it all? How do you manage it? And I've been watching her from a distance and seeing the massive changes she's been making. And I want to make all those same kind of changes in my own life, and they're happening. And so managing it, keeping your mindset nice and clear, keeping your actions in alignment with what needs to be done, keeping your interactions in alignment with what needs to be done. So, so that's what's happening. And it's really a matter of, kind of setting new priorities, and also at the same time, keeping the eye on the ball. And the bigger ball is the American Gumption project. And so, you can get distracted, and, man, I don't know. How do you guys do it? if you have a comment, leave it there in the chat line. We'll work on this together. But anyway, I'm feeling good about it all, excited. So I want to do a little bit of a share here. Let's see. So I'm going to show my website, and this is the American Gumption website, and I have been sending out a weekly Gump date. It's like an update, but it's a Gump date. And as I was envisioning my project, I thought if I just send out once a week, kind of like a bullet point overview of what's happening, the different people I'm interviewing, the different folks that are coming on to show the people, the places I'm traveling to, the things that are happening behind the scenes. That was the vision. And once a week wasn't too much. When our inboxes are overflowing with stuff. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to send it out once a week. And I decided I would just send it out on Sunday morning, just to be a little, because it's not like a typical business blog where I'm teaching specific productivity tips. And, it's really more of a lifestyle blog or update. The whole American Gumption project is not, there's lots of, the intent is to have a lot of good business lessons and things that are helpful to your life, especially if you're a solopreneur or spiritual entrepreneur or someone who is in serve other people, whether you're providing website services or whether you're, but really more in the smaller business realm than in the, like Fortune 500 company, closer to the smaller thing. And then, could be larger sized businesses, but they would be privately owned. So that's kind of my focus in terms of. So anyway, putting this update together, this is week number 7, and I called it "My Cup Runneth Over," and I don't know what that phrase jumped into it, because I last week I was like, oh my gosh, all these new opportunities, my cup runneth over. I thought of that, and so I knew the phrase. I wasn't sure how I knew the phrase, and I of course looked it up, and Ed Ames, who was an actor, a singer from the 1960s and 70s. He ends up he sang the song in 1967, and I included it on my weekly Gump date. And the one thing I should tell you is at the top, if you go to AmericanGumption.com, and if you go to the top in the top right corner of it, you can see that there's a Gump date sign up, join the journey. And so anyway, that's let's see, I can even make it wiggle over there in the corner, I think. Well, no, I can't. It's not. Whoops. There we go. Now you can see it wiggling a little bit. So that's in the upper right corner of my website. And so anyway, Ed Ames sings this song on the Johnny Carson show. And I'm just going to play a minute of this just for fun. But it was really about, how I was feeling last week. I was like, wow, things are coming fast and furious. I love it. So let's just listen to about a minute of this.
Sometimes in the morning, when shadows are deep, I lie here beside you, just watching you sleep. And sometimes I whisper what I'm thinking of. My cup runneth over with love. Sometimes in the evening, when you do not speak, I study the small things you do constantly. I memorize moments that I'm fondest of. My cup runneth over with love. We both will be home, So in this moment, with sunlight above, my cup runneth over with love. My cup runneth over with love.
All right, so that was Ed Ames from 1967 on the Johnny Carson show, My Cup Runneth Over with Love. And again, I played that, or I thought of that last week when I was writing my weekly update. And it was really, for me, it was like my cup runneth over with all these new opportunities that are coming so fast at me that I can't hardly keep up with them. And of course, it is with love. And so, and they don't make voices like that anymore. You know, at least I don't hear anybody singing like that. So I think that's funny. I was 9 years old when he sang that on Johnny Carson. And so, you know, it was like kind of, and I remember he was on a Daniel Boone show. Ed Ames was one of the actors on the Daniel Boone sitcom, or not sitcom, weekly show. And he was the Native American pal to the Daniel Boone. Mingo was his name. So there's a little bit of Ed Ames history and trivia. So, alrighty. So that's really pretty much wraps up what I wanted to share with you this morning about the just about the fact that these last couple of weeks have kind of changed everything. You have a theory, you say, here, I'm going to go do this. And then all of a sudden you actually launch into your project and it starts. And I had predicted that after 1 week, I'd be a different person. Well, it actually took me 3 weeks. Because the first week I was just sort of numb from it. I went and just was on adrenaline. And then the second week I was, I had my nose to the grindstone. I was trying to get some momentum going. And then last week was when it kind of all started to, feel like, it was comfortable because, I was figuring out my routine, how to do the show, how to interview people in the second part of the other half of the day. And so one of those people last week was Nicci Roscoe. And I see that Nicci has joined us in the green room. So everything cool back there, Nicci? Are you okay? She's getting ready. I don't know if she's going to sing for us, but like Ed Ames did. But anyway, she'll come and join us in just a minute or two. We'll invite her in. So that's it on this idea of resetting your priorities. Keeping your eye on the ball. Forrest Gump, we talked about it. Keep your eye on the ball. So in my case, the ball is bigger picture, the show, how to get them lined up, how to talk and communicate, doing that research, and then all that stuff in the background. And then these new opportunities that are coming fast and furious. Very, very, very exciting time. So, all righty. So, all right. I think Nicci's ready back there. So we should see if we can bring her on and
Hi.
Say hello. Hello, Nicci.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Good. I think it's afternoon where you're at.
It's afternoon here, so good morning, good afternoon, and maybe good evening somewhere.
Absolutely. We had a friend from Western Australia join us earlier in the chat room, and so people all over the world are tuning in.
Oh wow! So. Hello, everybody.
So here's what I'm going to do. Since you're new to the show, we have a special way that we welcome a first-time guest. And this only happens one time because you can only be a first-time guest once. You can be a second or a third-time guest. And we already have plans for bringing you back because we think that there's too much to talk about in one show. But I want to go ahead and just read a little intro on who you are. And then I want to play the welcoming tune that we used to welcome all first-time guests. So after I read your bio, I'm going to play this tune, and I want you to appreciate it because it'll only happen one time. Is that fair?
Okay, that's absolutely fair.
All righty. So let's get, without further ado, Nicci is a master NLP practitioner, a life and business coach, a crystal healing practitioner, and a Reiki healing practitioner. She is also trained with meditation guru Deepak Chopra. That's pretty cool. I wanted to hear about that. And worked in the fitness industry as head of the David Lloyd's Club Aerobics in the UK. She has a media background working on television and radio, which includes writing articles and being interviewed for national magazines and newspapers, including the Daily Mail, the Mail on Sunday's You magazine, and the Mail on Sunday's Health section. She has also worked in the fashion, beauty, and fitness areas for Company Magazine. Nicci was a health and fitness presenter on channels including Sky One and Breakfast TV, working with Lorraine Kelly, interviewed on Sky News by Eamon Holmes, and on radio programs such as LBC Radio and BBC Radio London. That is an impressive list of media works that you have done.
Oh, thank you.
And now you're on the American Gumption morning show. So it just keeps,
that is the best.
it keeps getting better and better. So finally, I have, I'm going to throw this up on the screen. Finally, let's see here. Nicci is the author of Fabulous Impact, Step into the New You and Rewrite Your Own Script. So without further ado, let's go ahead and play the first time guest welcoming theme, and then we'll get down and we'll talk with Nicci.
Brilliant. Love that. Absolutely fabulous.
Or is it your marching band?
Okay.
Welcome.
That was amazing.
Well, very good. Good. So welcome. Let's just jump right into your story. Back in the, you've been doing this type of work for a long time. Back in the 30s, the 90s, you really got your start. Tell us about what happened when you first started doing this work.
I was in the fitness industry for many years and jumping around with my health and fitness, enjoying teaching classes, doing a lot of master classes, stage work, and it was just brilliant. Then I was on television regularly. I was on Sky TV, Sky One, and I was really enjoying myself, having the best time. And all of a sudden I started to feel very unwell, and my balance went and my speech started to go. When I was on the radio, I started to say words that everybody else would be familiar with, but they weren't the words that I was supposed to be saying. So instead of saying elephant, I would say hippopotamus. So it wasn't quite right. Something wasn't right. So one day I was out shopping, and all of a sudden I had the most incredible pain in my head. It was so traumatic. It was literally like a thunderbolt had smashed me in the head. And I just, I didn't know what to do. The light was too bright for me. I lost my speech, and I just stood there. And it was a while later that I discovered I had a brain tumor. So everything changed. Yeah.
So, and I think that, they actually came to you and said, Nicci, the people you're working with on TV, and they're trying to put out a quality product, and they have to just be blunt, and they come and they say, Nicci, this isn't working anymore. Something's not right. What's up?
Well, they didn't notice. They didn't know, which was really bizarre. I managed to hold it together. I was okay. It was when I was teaching classes, my balance was strange. The speech was going very, very slowly. It happened when I was on the radio more than when I was on the television. It happened once, maybe when I was on live TV, but I was okay with that. And then all of a sudden it really hit. And then that was it. I couldn't do anything. And I had to just stop, which I did. And then I was told I had to have a major operation to remove the brain tumor. And if I didn't, I'd be like a vegetable within 2 years and dead within 5 years. So I am so lucky. I'm so grateful. And it's so wonderful to be here to help others now.
So sometimes we can make a choice to make a change in our lives, and other times we don't. Circumstances happen and we don't have any choice. You've been coaching people who are and working with people these last 20 years or just shy of that, where they're coming to you and saying, hey, I want to make a change. And yet you had to first go through that change where it wasn't an option. It was like, a whack on the side of the head with a brick.
I didn't have a choice. I had to have the operation, but what I did choose was I chose to take control of how I was feeling, because I've been left with 3 plates and 6 screws in my head, one of which is a loose screw. So I have a loose screw.
Wait, are you telling me that you literally have a loose screw in your head?
I literally have a loose screw in my head, Steve. Yeah, absolutely. Now you know.
So if somebody says, what's wrong with you? You have a loose screw, and you say, yes, of course.
I could say definitely. Yeah, I've got this loose screw. So I've been left with chronic pain in my head on my left side, which I manage because I learned to take control. So I say to myself every day, I'm in control of you. You're not in control of me. And that's something that I learned from the very beginning. And because of this, because of learning how to manage that, how to manage feeling very low, feeling depressed, feeling anxious, having all these feelings of insecurity, because having a brain tumor it just changed everything for me, as it has done for many, many, many others. And it's how we control that, how we can take that control back and take care of ourselves. And what I then went on to do is I trained as a life and business coach. I found that really helped me too, so that I could then understand more about myself to then help others even more. And from there, I went on and trained as a master NLP practitioner, which is neuro-linguistic programming. So how to change negative thoughts to positive thoughts. And that really made such a massive difference. And I trained as a hypnotherapist as well. And that was wonderful because I was able to help others. And then from there, I wanted to explore more to help my pain. So I trained as a Reiki practitioner, and I did my Reiki 1 and 2. And since then, and I've always worked with crystals because I love crystals. I feel that power in crystals, the light in crystals. They're just the most wonderful, wonderful thing. And I trained as a crystal healing practitioner. And then I trained as a master crystal teacher. So I'm now a master crystal teacher, and I can teach others. I can help others. And it is, I just combine everything I've done from my days being in the fitness industry to managing how to take care of yourself with overwhelm, confidence, all these areas, anxiety, stress. So I learned how to manage my own, and that really helps me to help others with mind medication, because it's all about how powerful our minds are. And our minds are so powerful.
and your website is mindmedication.co.uk, which is listed there for people, and your email address is listed if someone needs help. So please do reach out. I want to go back though to that transitional moment because it's kind of fascinating. You had been working for a good 10, 15 years in the physical industry. You were helping people to take care of their bodies, and then it really was the brain tumor that you had that shifted you into taking care of the mind, as opposed to, obviously you still take care of the body. That's part of it. But is that safe to say that was the transition from body to mind for you?
There was a transition. It was a huge changeover. However, when I was teaching in the fitness industry, when I taught people to take care of their bodies, I did also work with their minds. So I used to do relaxation. So now, after I'd trained with Deepak Chopra and I started teaching people meditation and how to take care of themselves in that way to find clarity, I also, when I used to teach classes, took people into a deep relaxation at the end of the class. So we used to use visualization, calm, peace. So they left there feeling that energy, but feeling in a really good place and finding that clarity. So perhaps I didn't know it as much then as I did now, but I feel that I've always combined the two, but then I really, really have now with my mind medication, because I looked into that so much myself and I found the benefits in all that I do. And with my clients, the changes from helping them with what I do has made a massive difference.
Is there a story you could share of someone that you've worked with in the last, few years that, where they came to you with one specific issue, and how did you work through? Because you have a whole your toolbox full of options in which to work with a client are good. So do they come with a specific idea, or do they come, with a specific problem, and then you kind of reach into your toolkit and figure out how to treat them? And share a little bit about something about that.
So right now I'm thinking about a client that I work with. There are two clients that I'm thinking of, slightly different, but similar in ways. One of them came to me. They were incredibly insecure about themselves. They didn't believe in themselves. They felt that nobody liked them. They kept losing their job. They weren't happy in their job. They hadn't found their purpose in life. They'd gone through a divorce, and they had children. They'd been left on their own to manage their lifestyle. They didn't know what to do, and they really were in a terrible, terrible place. So what we started to do initially was get them to start believing in themselves. And the way we did that was I took them into a beautiful, peaceful place. They discovered meditation. They discovered finding out about themselves even more. And it wasn't their fault, because they used to blame themselves for the divorce. They blamed themselves for things that happened at work. They blamed themselves for what was going on with their family. They blamed themselves for everything. And in actual fact, it was their insecurities and their not believing in themselves that caused these issues. So we worked together. This beautiful lady wasn't exercising. She started exercising and taking care of herself again. She found a wonderful job that she loved in advertising, because it's something she always wanted to do. Her children were older, so she wasn't at home with them all the time anymore, but she had that quality time with them. So she felt so much happier, and she really took care of herself. And every so often now she checks in with me just to say hi. We have a session once a month, once every few months, to see how she's doing. She is really taking care of herself exercise-wise. She eats well. At one point when she came to me, she couldn't even get in the shower. She didn't even want to shower at night because she just blamed herself for everything, and she just felt horrible. So through also crystal healing, through Reiki, through all the different mind medication methods that I use and the process that I use, she has changed her whole life. And then when I think of other clients, and one in specific that came to me with horrendous chronic pain, she couldn't live her life. When I arrived, I went to visit her, I went to her home, and then we worked together on Zoom or on Skype. And when I went to visit her, she could barely get to the front door. She could hardly walk to the front door. What she was doing, she was carrying grief from the loss of loved ones. She did have issues with her back. She did have pain. She was living with it. But there were lots of other things that she needed to deal with that were underlying. So we discovered those things that were underlying. I took her into deep relaxations. We did affirmations, so a lot of positive thinking, a lot of changing the negative words to the positive words, looking at things in a different way. And we started doing very, very gentle exercises to take care of herself, as well as taking her out into nature and teaching her meditation. And the wonderful thing was, after the first session we ever had together, she stood up and she walked. She was completely straight and she didn't feel the pain because she took control. And it's like I always say, I'm in control of you. You're not in control of me. And it was absolutely wonderful because she stopped wrapping herself in cotton wool and she dealt with it. And that was what was so fantastic.
I imagine that there's no better feeling as a coach and as a healer to see those direct results and to see them almost instantaneously in the case of with the second woman, our second client, and if you ultimately do your job well, you're working yourself out of a job with these people because they heal and they want to check back in with you from time to time because there's a friendship that evolves, a connection, but it's not like they need you in order to sustain day in and day out.
Yeah, but that's what's so wonderful is making these changes for them and seeing the change in them, because others know and hear about what I'm doing. Only yesterday, the day before, and this evening, I have different clients coming to me for the crystal healing treatments. And usually it's a minimum of 3 crystal healing treatments. And each one feels different. There's something different with each one. And a lady the other day, she arrived, she was stressed, she was anxious. There were things going on in her life that were really upsetting her. And especially now, with the pandemic and lockdown and what everything that's been going on, it's so overwhelming for everybody. And she arrived and she literally, she had tears in her eyes and it brought out different emotions in her, the treatment. The next treatment she had, she was peaceful, she was calm. She was so relaxed. She actually messaged me and she said, it feels like my mind has been on a holiday. It was brilliant. So, different things help different people, and the crystal treatments, wow, they are so powerful, along with all the other mind medication processes I do.
So if there's somebody listening who needs help, you can, it doesn't matter where they are because you can work with them, remotely over this type of a medium here and connect directly to them. So if you're out there and you feel like you need some help, I encourage you to contact Nicci either through her website or by her email directly, which is listed there, Nicci Roscoe at mindmedication.co.uk.
Yep, that's it. And, with pleasure, just contact me. We can have a chat. We can have a chat online. First of all, we don't have to do a session. It's just sort of an initial 15, 20-minute chat.
Sure.
And see how you're doing and how I can help you with absolute pleasure. Just contact me. Don't go through pain. Don't go through overwhelm, stress, or anxiety, because there is so much that can help you.
Yeah. So I made a note. You mentioned the purpose in life, and that was when I started my own journey of kind of inventing what I wanted do or be when I grew up. You know, you reach a certain point where you go, gee, it's not what I've been doing all my life. You know, I've been in survival mode, but there has to be more. And so I went on this journey to find, like, really what is my purpose in this time and space, in this lifetime, and what am I here to do? And that is not an easy, that's not something that you just, instantly find out. And it takes coaches and it takes different people to help you. And I've worked with many people over the years, who have all contributed one thing, and ultimately it kind of comes together, but it does take time. But you mentioned that. And so I wanted to give you a chance to just speak to the work you may have done in helping a person figure out their life purpose.
So a client that also comes to mind right now was unhappy working in the advertising industry, then going into the financial services industry, and they just kept swapping and they couldn't find what they wanted to do. And then they said to me one day, I absolutely love yoga. I love yoga. I just want to practice it all day. I just want to spend my time doing yoga. And I said to them, so how would it feel if you changed completely everything you're doing and you booked in and you trained as a yoga teacher? And she was like, oh, I never thought of that, because it's so strange. When things are in front of us, we don't think about it. We really don't. It takes someone else sometimes to say to us, why don't you train? They just think, oh, I'm going to just carry on doing classes, but not to actually go and become a yoga teacher. So she phoned around. Well, we phoned around together. I looked up where there were different places for her to go. And she said, wow, she loved this idea. And she booked. This was about a year ago. And she qualified as a yoga teacher. She's now got retreats. Well, since the pandemic, she hasn't been able to do the follow-up with the retreats. But once this is all over, she's going to be able to do it. But she has been teaching online during lockdown. She's now starting to see clients. She's taking them out into nature, like I've been taking clients out into nature, because she loves that. So, just absolutely fantastic. So she found her purpose. She's so happy. And this has happened with several people, many people that I've worked with, that they come to me, they're unhappy, they're just not feeling it within themselves. And once they realize what they really want to do, their true purpose, their true dharma of what they want to do, it's like a light bulb comes on in their head and it's wow. And so that's what happens. Yeah. And I'm so happy for her.
I really liked what you said, that you just threw a suggestion out there, and just the power of someone saying something out loud is sometimes enough to like allow that person to dream that they could do it just by you mentioning it. Or in my own case, I've had things where I might have been thinking something, but I didn't ever dare say it out loud. And then during a conversation, I just blurted out. And the moment you say it out loud and your actual ears hear it, instead of like it just being like locked up inside of the head, when it's said, when it's spoken, it somehow takes on a power of its own, and it can change everything very, very.
What I find absolutely wonderful is once they have that moment of like, wow, we sit and I take them into the imagination, the place where they actually visualize being that person, being the person that they are in their purpose. They do feel that love for themselves. They do feel that belief for themselves. They're excited. They step into that moment. And once they do that and they make that picture bigger, brighter, bolder, they feel really good about themselves in that place. That's when that spark hits even more and they just go for it. And I've seen it over and over again, and it's just wonderful, Steve. It really is the best thing ever, because to be in a job that you are so unhappy, I understand that sometimes needs must, and we need to be in jobs because financially we need to earn a certain amount of money. there's always time to find whatever that is, what your purpose is, and then have a plan and work it out, because we can all do it. We really can.
We only have a few minutes left before the top of the hour. I want to begin the wrap up, but I want to frame it in a way that will allow us to continue this conversation again. And the first thing I just want to bring up is that you had to cut a date a little bit short this afternoon to make sure that you were here available to come on at 3:30 your time over in London. Who was that date with, and what was going on in your life earlier this afternoon?
It was with my grandson, and my who I absolutely adore, and I'm with him on Tuesday mornings and lunch times, and well, I'm usually with him for the day on Tuesdays, and I there was no way I was going to let him down. I wanted to be with him today. He was so cheeky. He had the best time here, and he looked at me when he was going, and he blew me a kiss, and he gave me a cuddle, and we had a wonderful time together today, playing fabulous things. So family to me is so important, and to be with him was just the best thing. And that makes me feel good, and then I can go on and I can do what also serves me as well.
We all need a way to fill our heart, and the work is that fills a portion of our heart, but the heart is very big, and it needs to get filled with lots of different pieces. So I'm delighted to hear you say that the family is really the big main chunk of that heart, right smack in the middle there. So and your grandson has stolen your heart.
My grandson has absolutely stolen my heart. I love him. Oh, to the moon and back again and beyond. I absolutely adore him. He is very, very, very special. And he has his special own bowl of crystals as well that he absolutely adores. So we have a great time together. And he's, absolutely adorable.
We met each other about 5 years ago at a professional conference, and we became connected through the social channels, LinkedIn and Facebook. And I remember over the years seeing your post, and there was always a smile and a radiance that you had that kind of like, it would fill my heart when I would see you. It wasn't even about what you said or what you were doing, but it was just like an energy that I appreciated. So we kept in touch. We kind of were cheerleaders for each other from a distance. And then we had this chance to reconnect. And when I, was planning the reconnection, I thought, oh my gosh, NLP, crystal healing, Reiki healing. I don't know. I know a little bit about all of those, but I don't know a lot about them. So I'm thinking, okay, when Nicci comes on, we're going to go deep on all of those topics. But wait a minute, we only have 20 minutes. I mean, each one of those is going to be a 20 or 25-minute conversation. So I guess what I'd like to ask is, could you come back again in the future, and could we go deeper on one or more of those topics?
Of course, absolutely. Well, when you tell me, and we'll sort it out. We can do something. If my grandson's okay with it, we can do something after I'm with him next week. If you're happy to do that with me, we'll do that.
All right. Well, let's make it a date. We'll come back next Tuesday if the grandson approves, of course. And
of course, if he approves.
And we have those three topics: NLP, crystal, and Reiki. Which one do you think we should? Which is the most, or which is the one that would be the best way to start off a conversation?
I feel that crystal healing will be wonderful for everybody right now, especially with what everyone's going through. Crystal healing.
COVID has hit us all. It's really changed everything. In many ways, it didn't. I was going through a massive change when it happened, and so in some ways, it didn't. If I was already in major disruption myself, so it didn't matter to me because I was just able to ignore it and kind of focus on what I was doing. But even now, as I think about it, everyone else is so affected, and I can see it that everybody's been affected by this. There's probably only, maybe in a lifetime, or a few times in a lifetime when the entire world has something that has the power to kind of shift everything. And I really think we're in one of those moments now.
We are. We absolutely are. And there is a massive shift going on right now. And so many people need that help to make that shift, to make
well, thank you for doing the work that you're doing to help them. And as long as, what is your grandson's name?
Louis.
Louis, as long as Louis approves your schedule, we'll have you back here next Tuesday. I want to make sure I stay in Louis's good graces, or else I will not have access to his Grammy. What does he call you?
He calls me Gaga.
Gaga. All right. Louis Gaga.
Gaga Red, because I've got a red car.
All righty. Well, Nicci, thank you so much for joining us this morning here on the American Gumption Show, and we'll bring you back. We'll bring you back next week, and we'll talk about the crystals then and crystal healing. I would love to learn more about that. Very
wonderful talking to you.
And if you need some help in dealing with the struggles that we're going through, and you feel like you need someone to talk to, do reach out to Nicci either through her website or by her email address, and feel free to just connect and figure out if there's a way for you to work together. So
yeah, please do. I'm here for you. Don't go it alone.
That's right. Okay. Thank you, Nicci. We'll see you next week then.
See you next week. Bye.
All right. Well, I'm so grateful that Nicci was able to join us this morning. The fact that she is willing to come back and go deeper into these topics, because these things, each topic is something that you can spend more than just a few minutes on, and I need to learn more about it. I will be taking a course this week in crystals myself, so that I can educating myself, and then we'll be able to have a conversation and learn more about it from Nicci directly. So, all right, everybody. Well, thanks for joining us this morning here on the American Gumption Morning Show, broadcast on Spirituality Gone Wild. I look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow. Have a great day.